Hello! Shoyan here. I'm a carpenter based in Japan. Today, I'll be installing some siding on one side of the exterior wall, as well as the porch ceiling. This time, the porch ceiling is made of processed planks, while the siding is made of cedar planks that are milled at a sawmill to 210mm wide and 12mm thick. Each plank is made of hardwood. The wood has been piled in stacks with sticks placed between them and air dried for at least 2 years. To remove dirt and pebbles from the siding, I always use a chainsaw. But though it's a bit high, you can cut them all at once with a chainsaw if you stack them. A circular saw is time-consuming to use. This oil jug is more than 30 years old, discolored and deformed. It is full of diesel engine oil, which I also use for my truck. Diesel oil is more viscous than regular oil. Since this combo jointer and planer is old, I have to lubricate it well for it to work properly. Let's see who breaks first, this machine or me. Now, I will run the siding through a jointer and planer. The wood is supposed to be 12mm thick, but because it was milled in a sawmill, it's slightly thicker. As a result, it will have a finish that is about 11mm thick. Once the front side is planed, I will plane the sides by pushing the wood through with my hands. In the case of board and batten siding, only the front side need to be planed to install the boards. But this time, it is shiplap, so I will cut a rabbet at both ends of a certain width. Each plank must have a flat surface and be finished with the same width. When planing the plank's width, I will place 2 large pieces of wood under the planer to sandwich the plank. That way, the planed timber won't fall. A useful, expensive ruler is available, but the plank can fall even if you use a tool. In my opinion, this is the most effective method. After running the wood through the planer, I rabbet both ends. This means cutting a groove or notching the ends of the wood. The rabbet is half the thickness of the 70mm wide siding. I will use a groove cutter and rabbet the top and bottom in the same manner. I finished processing the siding and custom-shaped parts. I will start working from the porch ceiling. There is not much space in each section of the porch, but it's quite large as a whole. First, I will retighten all the bolts the same way as the previous ceiling installation. They may never be retightened again if I don't retighten them now, so this step is crucial. There are large pine beams around the ceiling. Relatively, there are bolts in lower positions, so I frame about 60mm above the bottom edge of the beams. About 45mm of the beams will be visible. I think this will be an elegant ceiling. The ceiling frame is made of 40mm square timber, which I always use. It's a perfect size, whether for ceilings or rough wall framings. To build the frame, I will secure 40mm squares as 360mm spacings. I will temporarily secure the struts with screws. When the ceiling is exposed to outside air, iron nails are better. If screws are used on their own, the shank can break due to fluctuations in temperature. But it's no problem if the ceiling is inside a building. Although this porch ceiling is quite wide, the plank for the soffit is 2 meters long. In order to avoid creating too many joints, I will install the soffit in the short direction so that the plank reaches the ends. First, I will decide on the location and number of boards to use, just like when installing the floor. I may end up using 2 or 3 cm wide boards at the end if this is not done at the beginning, which looks bad. Now, I will install the soffit. As usual, I will use wood glue and 4mm staples to secure the soffit. As you can see, I'm on a high-step ladder, so I'm wearing a helmet. It is useful to wear a helmet when installing ceiling with glue. The glue will not stick to my head or my precious hair. After all, if wood glue sticks to your hair and hardens, it's a disaster. You will lose your hair immediately. I'm grateful for helmets. This helmet is more for protecting my hair and keeping me safe. Oh wait, I don't have enough hair to protect. Well, no hair is safer. There are 6 sections on the large porch ceiling. Only one back section is connected to the front porch. To match the height of the front door frame, that section will be higher than the other sections. These pine beam sides will be visible due to the high ceiling. It would be no problem if only the pine was visible, but the hardware will also be visible in this case. To hide it, I will build a wall to the side of the pine beams using the same type of wood as the soffit. Now, the bolts and nuts are hidden. I will install crown molding around the perimeter. When installing cedar planks on exposed wood like this, it is ideal to groove the wood. However, the ceiling height was not fixed before construction, so I couldn't groove the wood in this case. So, like this, I will hide the gap between the beam and the ceiling with crown molding. This type of zinc crown molding is known as himo in Japan. Now, the porch ceiling is complete. It's quite large. Next, I will install the siding. First, I will frame the wall. These vertical timbers are furring strips that promote ventilation and support the siding frame. I will secure the furring strips to the wall at 360mm spacings. The furring strip I'm currently securing is made of Oregon pine and measures 45mm by 21mm. One of the advantages of Oregon pine is its hardness. Using cedar for frames can result in nails coming loose if the wood is warped or vibrated by wind. Nails won't come loose if Oregon pine is used. This is why I am using Oregon pine. I will use 38mm stainless steel nails with round heads to secure the siding. Because I'm worried about the siding being secured firmly using typical screw nails, I will use barbed screw nails. This is such a well-processed nail. I haven't experienced any loosening since I started using this type of nail. Now, I will cut the siding. I received longer planks than I ordered, so I'm cutting both ends off, which may appear excessive. However, because I am taking this approach, I can remove all the cracks and irregular rings around the root. After that, I chamfer only the rabbet that comes on the front side. It is inevitable that the planks will warp. If the rabbet is chamfered, it will have a soft appearance. Now, I will install the siding. I will simply nail 2 places per board. On the first board, I will nail each furring strip to the core one at a time. I find this short 38mm nail to be the most difficult type to secure because it has a round stainless steel head and is technically a screw nail. I will draw the nail position using a white chalk line. The nail head will align with this line. Despite drawing a reference line, the nails are not neatly aligned when observed from the side. No matter how hard I try, nail heads are about 1/3 off. This is because I am using screw nails. They will always be about 1mm off at the top and bottom when they go in. Next, I will use a handsaw to cut the bottom edge of the siding. Some people use circular saws for this step, but if you make a mistake, you can't fix it anymore. I use a roughly 265mm long blade handsaw and sandpapers the corners neatly to finish it. The advantage of shiplap joints is that the blanks can be installed in reverse order. Normally, siding is installed from the left. But if only 3 or 4 siding planks are to be installed to the left of the sash, it's fine to install the first plank neatly on the sash side, and then install the remaining pieces in the opposite direction. This is only possible with shiplap. This would not be possible with tongue and groove joints. Regarding the coating, it doesn't matter if the siding will remain uncolored. However, if the siding will be painted or stained with a dark color, the rabbited section will be colored first. This means the grooved edge will be colored first. Even if he installs the siding firmly, there will be a gap the width of a pencil after 1.5 or 2 years due to sun and wind exposure. The uncolored part of the shiplap will be visible at the point. This is why we paint the rabbit before installing it. The most important thing is to remove the chalk on the same day. Even if we wipe it off, a little chalk will remain. But this time, the coating color is darker, so I think it won't be noticeable. Now, I will finish the outside corner of the siding. I will cut this section at a right angle with a circular saw, and plane the inner side with a curved bottom plane. This way, even if the siding warps, the outside corner will still attach to it. I will plane the inner side first, then chamfer the corner largely to finish it. Before installing the corner, I will cut the bottom of the siding. The corner can't be attached if the bottom is not cut. The siding corner overlaps the sloped soffit, so I will cut the top diagonally according to the slope. The siding corner around the front door will overlap the header, so I will be sure to slightly cut off the header so that the siding corner fits between the siding and the header. For the corner, I will use the same nail as the siding, but the length will be 50mm. Next, I will secure the nails on the chalk line on the siding, of course. I will cut the corner's length to be about 3 to 4mm longer than the siding. For the ceiling and soffit junction, I will use a larger crown molding. Then, I will mark the grain center position of the siding to the crown molding, and apply glue only in the area. If glue is applied to the entire surface, the plank will crack from the center of the grain when it shrinks. If the glue is only applied to the middle of the grain, only the unglued areas will shrink, so the plank won't crack. Lastly, I will install the small crown molding, and the siding is complete. I said the siding was complete, but I actually had one more thing to do. Planks crack prevention. This area is not very exposed to the sun, so I don't think the wood will crack. However, the planks crack from the center, so I will glue and wipe them with a rag. Now, it's finally completed. I finished installing the porch ceiling and a section of cedar siding. Only cedar hardwood is used for the siding, which is valuable. That's all for today. Thanks for watching.